In this tutorial, we're going to look at how we can install fonts onto our Mac. Now, these are fonts that we normally would not have on our computer. To see what fonts we do actually have on our Mac, we can actually open up what's called the font library or the font book. By bringing up Spotlight, by going Command Space or in the top right hand corner, clicking on the Spotlight search in the top right hand corner of your Mac, you'll be able to bring up the Spotlight search. In here we can actually type in font and you can see that font book comes up. Think of this like a book or a library that holds all your fonts that are on your computer. In here you can actually see all the fonts that I have installed. Some people use an application and you can actually see them when you go to pick a new font, what fonts you do and don't have. But today what we're going to focus on is how we can install new fonts. So in a case like I've got Indie Flower Regular installed, this is not a default font. So how do we go about getting default fonts? Well, the best way to do this is to access them on the internet. So open up your browser and the first place we're going to go look for fonts is in Google Fonts. Now Google Fonts has over 900 fonts in its library. If you click on the link, it'll take you in there. You can actually search for a particular font if you know what it is. Otherwise, you can just start scrolling through and having a look for a font that you like. Now there's lots of different fonts. This is the Indie Flower one that I've got installed. I like the way in which it's curved. It's not a Comic Sans font, but it's fun and it will draw the user's attention to what is written. So here's another one called Gloria Hallelujah. So let's have a look at this font here. So I've clicked on it. It brings up examples. I can change the font size. I can have a look at when it's a title, or if I bring it down to something around 10 or 12 point, I can see what it looks like if it's used as a body text. So by sliding the slider, you can get an idea of the different scales. Now the good thing is when you install these fonts, not only can you use them in a document like Word, or if you want to use them in a Google Doc, you can use them in Adobe products, you can use them all across the Microsoft suite as well. So they're very versatile once you install them. I use a lot of the font library for when I'm designing applications in Adobe XD. Or if I'm using Xcode program and I want to put some nice looking titles on my applications. So once you've picked the style that you want, all you need to do then is download the family. Now this will download into the bottom left hand corner, and then what I suggest you do is actually create a folder on your desktop. So on your desktop, just right mouse click, go new folder and just call it fonts. Now it's really advisable that you actually save all your fonts into a folder and that you store them away. If you ever change laptops at a later stage or you need to use a different computer, you need to bring your fonts across with you. Some people actually upload them into Google Drive and have a folder there or a library there that you can reinstall later. So then what we want to do is put the zip file, which is a compressed file, into that folder. So I'm just going to drag the file from my downloads into that folder. So you could actually drag it straight to your desktop and then into the folder. It's up to you how you'd like to manage that process. Once it's now in that folder on your desktop, I'm going to double click. This will then create a folder. Inside that folder we'll have the actual TIFF file. This will enable us now to install this into our font book. So let's go back to the font book that we opened up earlier. Now you notice that the font does not exist in my font book at the moment. So to install it, all we need to do is drag this across and drop it onto all fonts. And you notice it's gone into our user setting and is now part of our little set of fonts in here. So you can notice at the moment I've got a lot of cursive sort of fonts. So now when we go back to our document, we can click on the fonts and more fonts. Now in here we can actually roll through it and look for it, or we can actually type in Gloria and you can see the Gloria Hallelujah. And now it's been added to my fonts list and click on OK. Now I had some text in here. This is my new font. We can then highlight that and turn it into a title. We can apply all the normal formatting to it by changing its color. We can also underline, etc. If we go look in Word, you'll now see in the font list, Gloria Hallelujah. Just remember, when you install a new font, sometimes you have to close the existing application and then reopen that application for it to read from your font library. So I hope you found this tutorial useful in installing fonts into your font book on your Mac. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I wish you all the best in exploring your new font libraries.